With the shift of the automotive industry moving more towards EVs as of late, I figured what better two American-made electric SUVs to compare than the Tesla Model Y and the Cadillac Lyriq. This video is going to be comprised of 3 parts. The first part being the exterior walk around. The second part, we're going to do an interior walkthrough. And lastly, we're going to take both of these on a drive. And hopefully by the end of today's video, you will have a better understanding of which electric SUV is right for you. I know looks are subjective, so that's why I'm going to keep this part of the video rather short, but I think Tesla takes more of a plain and simple approach to their design language, whereas Cadillac takes more of the sport luxury approach. One thing that's pretty cool about the Lyriq is that it does get an illuminating front grille as well as choreographed exterior lighting elements, both front and rear, which is pretty cool to walk up to at night and see a little bit of a light show. Coming into 2024, Cadillac added 3 trim levels to the Lyriq lineup: the Tech, the Luxury, and the Sport being the top dog trim level. You also get some new color options, some new wheels, new interior technology, and then pop-out door handles for the rear doors. Now, I wanted to show you what we got going on underneath the hood of the Lyriq. So if you pop this piece off here, you can see you got all your electric motor stuff down in there. And you also get your windshield washer reservoir. Coming on down the side, let's talk about the wheels that you get with the Lyriq. So this is a Lyriq Sport 1, and these are the standard 20-inch wheels. If you get the Sport 3, you can get 22-inch wheels. But again, that leads me to my next point. I think you get better wheel options with the Lyriq as compared to the Model Y. And again, you get wheels ranging from 20 to 22-inch wheels with the Lyriq, which differs from the Model Y's 19-inch to 21-inch, depending on if you get the long range or the performance. Now, coming up just a little bit more on your driver front fender, if you press that Cadillac crest right there, that will reveal your 2 charge ports. So up here at the top, you have your J1772 charge port that supports level 1 and level 2 charging. And if you pull this piece back right here, that is your CCS charge port that supports fast DC charging. By the way, GM EVs will begin to use Tesla's NACS connector come 2025. So these charging ports will not be used for much longer. Following the sharp body lines of the Lyriq on back, you do get pop-out door handles that are illuminating, and when you get the Sport, the door handles are body color. But if you follow me around back, you can see the Lyriq has a nice thick booty. You get this nice gloss black trunk spoiler back here. And then right here where your Cadillac crest is, not only is this an illuminating Cadillac crest, but if you press on that, the power liftgate will begin to open up. That is the speed in which the power liftgate opens up. And you actually have quite a bit of storage space back here in the trunk of the Lyriq. Now, if you lifted this piece up right here, you can see you actually get quite a bit of storage space down in there. And if you lift the backpack up, you can take a look at how much storage space. I'd say you probably get about 1.5 foot of depth down in there. You can see obviously my backpack fits down underneath there, but you also get fold flat second row seats. So if you follow me and you press on this button right here, the second row seats will drop. Obviously you get the same thing over here on the passenger side of the trunk. All you got to do is push forward on that, and then you probably get an additional 3.5-4 feet of storage space with those second row seats down. Now I'm going to close the power liftgate of the Lyriq, and now let's compare the Model Y to everything that we just saw with the Lyriq. As you may be able to tell, behind me is the Tesla Model Y, and I kind of already stated my opinion when it came to Tesla's design language, but I'm going to reiterate it for those who maybe skipped ahead to this part of the video. I think Tesla takes a very simplistic approach to their design language. The Model Y looks very similar to the Model 3, and again, just not very much going on up here. Obviously you have your exterior lighting elements, you get a lower grille down there. But one pro to the Model Y is that you do get a front trunk. So you can fit your duffel bag in here. You can fit a backpack or two, maybe a carry-on suitcase. So it's definitely nice to see that the Model Y has a front trunk, because it does give you some more usable storage space. Now, working my way down the side, I already kind of, stated my opinion on the wheels when we were talking about the Lyriq wheels. But again, this being the long range, you get these 19-inch wheels. And depending on if you get the long range or the performance, long range, you get 19-inch wheels. The performance, you get 21-inch wheels. I think the performance wheels definitely do look better than the ones you get with the long range, obviously. However, they're still not great. They just look a little bit aerodynamic and, just a little bit too futuristic. I kind of like just conventional wheel designs. Again, I know that is personal opinion. Now, one thing about the Tesla is about the door handles. The Lyriq gets the pop-out door handles. The Model Y does not get the pop-out door handles. So let's say you have a couple things in your hands, you're walking up to the vehicle, and you're just kind of fumbling around. it's kind of like, you know, either have to have one full hand to be able to open up the door handle, or you can do like the double thing. It's just a little bit more difficult than if you walk up to the vehicle and the door handles were already popped out. You know, it's just a small little thing like that I'm pointing out, kind of nitpicking a little bit. But coming around to the back end, one thing I do really like about the Model Y is the sloping roof design. And you can also see, you get this little subtle ducktail spoiler back here that I think looks pretty sweet as well. But again, just like the front, you also get, you know, pretty simplistic design back here as well. And so all you see are your exterior lighting elements, and that's really kind of about it. But you also do get a power lift gate, obviously, here with the Model Y. Now, taking a look at what we got going on back here, if you lifted this piece up, you get quite a bit of storage space down underneath there. You could fit a backpack or two, maybe even a duffel bag or a small carry-on suitcase down underneath there. This is your cargo cover. And then if you come around here, you see these two buttons. These two buttons are to drop your second row seat. So I'm going to drop the passenger side, or driver side, excuse me, second row seat. So, and I'm also going to drop the passenger side second row seat. So come around here, you can see you get some fold flat storage space just like you get with the Lyriq. But right now we got the tripod in the back because we're doing some filming. So that is why it didn't fold all the way down. But you can see you get some fold flat second row storage space here in the Tesla, just like you find on the Cadillac Lyriq. However, one thing I wanted to show you is that right here is your charge port to the Tesla. That is what it looks like down in there. You get a good view of that. So yeah, very easy to open and close. Again, that is the NACS connector. That is Tesla specific. It's kind of like Apple with their lightning cable. Tesla kind of has their own, you know, charging infrastructure, but also their own charging cable, because when Teslas, you know, were first coming out, they were one of the first EVs to come out. So there wasn't like a standardized cable to charge, you know, their vehicles. So they just came up with their own, kind of like Apple did with the lightning cable. So yeah, that is what that looks like. And then again, a lot of new or auto manufacturers are going to be moving to the NACS connector, GM being one of them. Again, Cadillac, Chevy, GMC, so on and so forth. But really, that's kind of about it for the exterior of the Model Y. Now let's take a look at what we got going on in the interior of the Lyriq. So much better here on the interior of the Lyriq as compared to outside where it's cold. But take a look at this interior of the Lyriq. Cadillac did a great job here, making it look futuristic, but also still giving us the nice physical controls here on the steering wheel and then also on the dash with the climate controls. I love that. But I love the 33-inch curved LED display. It is very intuitive. The graphics are great. You get wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto connectivity. You also get built-in navigation. The screen itself is very intuitive to use, which is something that I appreciate. Very easy to use, which is, again, just very nice. Now, one thing with the Lyriq is that you do get a couple different drive modes. So if you came over to here, I'm going to take my sunglasses off. You can go into this thing right here where it says drive modes, and then you'll see your different drive modes. So you got Tour, Sport, Snow/Ice/My mode, and you see that little pedal right there? That is to turn the one pedal driving system on or off, which is very nice and very easy to do just by the push of that button. You can also go in between your different themes here. And again, just very, very easy to use screen. You also get a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot, which is nice. If you have kids, your kids can connect their iPads, their iPhones, and stuff like that to the vehicle, and then they'll be able to play on their iPads without annoying you on a long road trip. So that is definitely a plus. But one thing that's pretty cool about this screen is that you can switch what you see on the screen. It's not really going to pick up all that well on camera, but you can go in between your gauge display, which gives you a digital speedometer readout, where you would normally have a digital speedometer readout as compared to the Tesla, where you got to look over here for your digital speedometer readout. Don't like that. It's very homey feeling if you're used to an internal combustion engine vehicle, but it's an electric vehicle. But it kind of has the same layout as a normal vehicle, which I find as a massive plus, because it feels right. You know, you feel right at home. It doesn't feel so foreign, kind of like the Tesla, where it's just a big screen to literally control everything. Like, in order to control your side view mirror settings in the Tesla, you got to go throughout the screen. It's just, it doesn't make sense. And then also, like, I had something on the Tesla where it was like a big screen, and I was going through all the different controls, and I was trying to unlock the vehicle, and I had to like swipe and go through all these different things to click the unlock button. Whereas on here, you got the unlock and your lock functions physically down here on your door panel, like, again, a normal vehicle is. These seats themselves are also very comfortable. You can get massaging seats depending on which spec you get, which trim level you get, so on and so forth. One thing that's pretty cool about the Lyriq is that you have this regen brake paddle. So let's say you don't like driving in one pedal drive. This is your regen paddle. So you can be driving normally and you let off the accelerator and you're going to coast. But if you pull back on this paddle, the vehicle will begin to slow down. And obviously it is, you know, the harder you pull on the paddle, the harder the vehicle brakes. So that's just a pretty cool feature if you don't like the one pedal driving system, but you do like to use regenerative brakes. It's kind of like your downshift paddle is kind of like the best way to describe that paddle. But again, I really like all the physical controls. Not only can you control the screen with your finger, you also have this dial down here and all these shortcut buttons to control the screen. You can see as I switch the dial, it's going throughout different things on the screen. And then you just have your physical volume control knob, which is nice. Tons of storage space down in here. You could set a purse, you know, your wallet, stuff like that. You get a USB cable down in there. And then one other thing I really like about the Lyriq as compared to the Tesla is that the Tesla has a massive sunroof, but the Tesla sunroof, you can't close. There's no shade. But on the Lyriq, you can press this button right here and the shade will begin to close. So when the sun is beating down on you, you're not going to feel that sun with that shade closed. And that was one flaw that I found to the Mach-E. I don't know the Tesla because I haven't driven the Tesla in the summertime. I have driven a Mach-E in the summertime. And with the sun beating down on you, the Mach-E doesn't have a shade like the Lyriq does either. You could feel the sun beating down through the glass on the Mach-E. Again, I don't know what it's like on the Tesla, but the seats themselves here on the Lyriq are also very comfortable. You know, you get all your controls here on the door panel. Again, I love all the interior, you know, wood trim, the aluminum trim, all the different trim pieces, the piano black, it all just looks very good, feels very good, and it's very well put together. You start pushing on everything, and you don't hear a bunch of creaks and moan or any stuff like that. Whereas on the Lyriq, or excuse me, on the Tesla, you may. And then if you press this right here, you get a little bit more storage space. You could set a phone down in there, some sunglasses, stuff like that. Just nice little Easter eggs. But now I want to show you what we got going on in the rear seats. All right, sitting in these rear seats are very comfortable. I almost feel like the seat is hugging me a little bit. It feels very comfortable, nicely padded. Taking a look at the door panel, very nice. You get some ambient lighting, you get some wood grain trim. You have your unlock and your lock functions back here, which is nice for your kids if you're walking into the supermarket or stuff like that. And then you also get a spot you could set a water bottle, a speaker. Now, when it comes to leg and knee room, I am 5'9" and I am adjusted behind myself. Take a look at all that leg and knee room that I've got going on down here. Quite a bit of it. And then when it comes to my headroom, I have about an inch and a half of headroom left over. However, if I slouch, which is what I normally do on, you know, a drive, I have a few more inches of headroom that I can make up if I do slouch. Then you get two HVAC vents back here. You get two USB-C ports and a center fold down armrest with two cup holders. Now, I wanted to go over some performance statistics with you that have to do with the Lyriq. So, no matter if you get the rear-wheel drive Lyriq or the all-wheel drive Lyriq, both of which get a 102 kilowatt-hour battery pack that is either mated to a single or a dual motor setup, depending on if you get the all-wheel drive version or the rear-wheel drive version. Rear-wheel drive is a single motor, all-wheel drive is a dual motor. The single motor produces 340 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque for a 0 to 60 time in 5.7 seconds, and you get 314 miles of range. If you get the dual motor, aka all-wheel drive, you produce 500 horsepower, 450 pound-feet of torque for a 0 to 60 time in 4.6 seconds. However, your range is decreased by about 7 miles for 307 miles of range. Stepping on into the interior of the Model Y. I've said this a few times now, but I wanted to reiterate that I think the theme of the Model Y is simplicity. At least it is on the face of things until you start going throughout this infotainment system. But interior-wise, very simple, not much going on. But in order to, let's say, adjust your side view mirror settings, right? You got to click on this little Tesla down here, go into controls, click on mirrors, and now you have to control the side view mirrors with this control here on your steering wheel. So that's the kind of stuff that takes a little bit of getting used to, whereas on the Lyriq, you have the physical controls like you have, you know, on a normal vehicle. So this is just a couple extra steps that you don't really need to take, and it's just a little bit inconvenient. But other than that, the screen is relatively easy to use, but there's almost like too much stuff going throughout the screen, rather than, you know, having physical climate controls and stuff like that. Yes, all you got to do is swipe up on that, and then here are your climate controls, but it's just a little bit, you know, harder to do than if you click the physical button like you can on the Lyriq. Now, this screen does work very well. It's been around for some time now. But another thing, and I can't, you know, I can't recreate this for some reason, but anyways, I was on a different screen and I was trying to unlock the vehicle to let my buddy in the car, and I tried clicking on a button, or I tried finding the unlock button, and it wasn't just like right there. You know, and that's me just not really knowing the vehicle all that well yet. But other than like in the Lyriq, if I was trying to let somebody in, I click the unlock button. So, you know, it's just little things like that, you know, that, you know, just add up over time. You know what I'm saying? Then you also have the volume control down here that's also throughout the screen. I'd rather have a little bit of a knob. And that's where I think Cadillac did a great job with the Lyriq, is that they integrated not only the screen, but they also have the physical climate controls to go along with the screen, which is something that I personally like. Now, when it comes to storage space, you got quite a bit of storage space down there. You can set your 2 phones here if you wanted to. You got 2 cup holders, a little bit of storage space down in there. But when it comes to the roof of this, I can see that it is nicely tinted, so I don't think it's going to have the same problem that the Mach-E had, with the sun shining down and really feeling it in the summertime, just because it looks very tinted here. So I don't think that would be a problem here with the Model Y. Now, a couple things I wanted to mention, this being a Tesla. For enhanced autopilot, that's $6,000. But if you wanted the full self-driving capability, that is going to run you $12,000. So those are 2 different options that you can get. Whereas on the Lyriq, depends which, you know, trim level you get. If you get the Luxury 2 and the Luxury 3, it comes with Super Cruise. If you get the Sport 2 and the Sport 3, you also get Super Cruise, which is a level 2 autonomous driving system. So I guess, you know, we've gone throughout the interiors of this. You can pan over into those rear seats, but there's really not much going on in the rear seats of the Tesla. You do get a center fold down armrest and stuff like that, but I think we should take both of these on a drive, so let's do that. All right, now on to the driving portion of the video, where this Tesla is very, very quick, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. 60. And this is the long range, so this is very, very quick, and it is definitely quicker than the Lyriq. That's my camera, excuse that, in the background. Yes, this is quicker than the Lyriq, but that's kind of like one of the only things that this is better, quote unquote, than the Lyriq. You know, this is just very simple, very plain exterior looks, very plain here on the interior. Yes, that is kind of cool. It thinks that is an 18-wheeler, but it is just quick. And I would say that this is more like plain performance, whereas the Lyriq is more of your luxury cruiser. While yes, with the all-wheel drive, you can get a 4.6 second 0 to 60 time, which is faster than most other SUVs on the market. And with rear-wheel drive, you get a 5.7 second 0 to 60, which is still faster than quite a few other SUVs on the market. The Lyriq is your luxury cruiser. You know what I'm saying? It's your Cadillac. It is very, very comfortable. It cruises great. The insulation from the outside world in the Cadillac is better than the Tesla, but the acceleration in the Lyriq is not quite as sharp as the acceleration that you get with the Tesla. Now, I would say that if you're going for the Lyriq, you want something that's still plenty quick, and the Lyriq is still plenty quick. It's just not quite as, you know, sharp throttle response wise or sharp quickness wise as the Model Y is. But that's really the Model Y is almost a one-trick pony in that sense, that it is quick, but when it comes to the build quality, I mean, take a look at what you get on the B-pillar. You know, not all that great, and that's something that Tesla's been plagued with, you know, since they've been, you know, conceived, almost is the word that I'm looking for. They've always had issues with build quality, and you know, GM itself, they've had their fair share of build quality issues as well, but it seems like Cadillac's really buttoned up, you know, what they've got going on here recently. Here's another acceleration. very quick, especially like 0 to 60 accelerations. That's kind of where this thing makes its peak power, because once you get above, you know, like 45, you can start to feel it slow down. But that 0 to 45 is pretty crazy. It's just very, very quick. Obviously, that's what you get with an electric vehicle, is that instant torque. But just take a listen to what this thing sounds like cruising at about 55 miles an hour, road noise and wind noise wise. So you can hear it's not terrible, but it does have that punchy acceleration that if you needed to get around somebody, you could. And then also one thing that's pretty cool about the Tesla is that for $6,000 you can have the enhanced autopilot, or for $12,000 you can have the full self-driving capability. But again, $12,000, that is a lot of money for, you know, the self-driving capability, but that is a big plus to having an electric vehicle, either the Lyriq or this. Super Cruise is great. Same here with the full self-driving with Tesla. Both are great. But again, you can hear it is, you know, kind of loud here at about 65 miles an hour. But it is also a windy day at the same time. Acceleration wise, even at 60 is still pretty good as well. But yeah, that's kind of about it. You know, with the long range, you do get 330 miles of range, which is pretty dang good. But yeah, so basically to summarize the Model Y, it is very quick, yet it is very simple here with the interior. Not much going on. So if I had to describe the Model Y in 2 words, I would say it is, or I guess the 2 words would be plain performance. But now that we've had some seat time in the Model Y, let's see what the Lyriq is like to drive. All right, now on to the driving portion of the video. I'm gonna put us into sport mode, which gives you the instant throttle response bump. And this is floored. Now, like I was mentioning, the Tesla is a little bit quicker than this, but one thing that I was noticing is there's really, like honestly, with my passenger here, we were talking, and there, you can't tell that big of a difference between the two. Like, this is punchy in and of itself, when, especially when you're in sport mode. It is very punchy as compared to tour mode. Tour mode, it's not quite as punchy off the line. And we're going to do a nice little acceleration here. We actually do have a Model 3 behind us, so maybe they'll get on it too. I don't know, but this acceleration will be done in sport mode. Again, you do have 4 different drive modes. My mode is configurable. Then you have your snow and ice mode, your tour mode, and your sport mode. Sport mode is your fun mode. We get another Cadillac Lyriq right there. And as soon as this light turns green, I'm going to gun it from 0 to 60. The one thing about the Lyriq and the Model Y is that they build power differently. This thing seems to build more power once you get to about 30 to 60 miles an hour. That's where it feels more powerful than the Model Y, whereas the Model Y is kind of the opposite. And the Model Y feels quicker from 0 to 40. Whereas this feels quicker from about 35-ish to 60 miles an hour. So that's just something that I have noticed. And hey, luckily we got another light here. And we're gonna do another little acceleration. And I'm actually gonna get over in this lane here. And we'll test the acceleration, see if this Model 3 wants to give it the beans. But we'll do, actually, you know what? I don't know if, okay, I will get on it fully, because why not? You know, we're in an electric vehicle, and that's kind of the fun behind an electric vehicle, is that you can do these accelerations all day, obviously if you have the battery power in order to do so. But then after this nice little acceleration, I'll show you what it sounds like cruising at about 55, 60 miles an hour, wind and road noise wise. But first we want to do a nice little test from 0 to 60. I'm going to put us on the gauge view. There you go. This is sport. And again, it seems like it builds power, you know, the higher you get up in the RPM range, which is kind of interesting. Now, take a listen to hear what this thing sounds like cruising at about 62 miles an hour. Now the Model Y is coming back around. It's about 65. One thing about the Lyriq is that I feel like it cruises better suspension-wise. It's more of a cruiser. I feel like it soaks up bumps a little bit better. It's very windy out right now. Very comfortable cruise. To get out of this lane here, get back over to this lane. And again, if you get the Luxury 2 or Luxury 3, as well as the Sport 2 or the Sport 3, you can get Super Cruise. I believe Super Cruise comes standard with Luxury 2, Luxury 3, Sport 2, and Sport 3. So again, the Super Cruise is the level 2 driving assistance system, which is basically a nearly autonomous driving system where it will change lanes for you and do all that kind of stuff, and you don't have to have your hands on the wheel, which is definitely very nice, especially if you're going to be doing road trips or, you know, commuting to and from work or school or something like that. So definitely between Tour and Sport mode is definitely snappier when it comes to the throttle response as well as the acceleration, where Tour mode is more your chill normal mode, is what you'd be cruising in, you know, 90% of the time, until those times where you want to have a little bit of fun in Sport mode. But overall, I think this thing cruises very nicely. The seats are very comfortable. I really like the physical climate controls. And summarizing this and summarizing the Model Y, again, the Model Y is kind of like your plain performance vehicle, whereas this is more of like your luxury cruiser. You get the physical climate controls, you get the stuff throughout the screen. So not only do you have the controls throughout the screen, you also have the controls that are physical as well, which is definitely a plus. So very comfortable cruise. It's still plenty quick for sure, but the Tesla might edge this out a little bit on you know, 0 to 60 wise, but this thing is not too far behind, trust me. But yeah, if you're still not 100% sure whether you want the Model Y or the Lyriq, then I suggest you come on down to More Cadillac here in Chantilly, Virginia. We have both for you to test out. You can test out the Lyriq back to back to a Model Y, same vehicles that I drove. So you can either, you know, test the Lyriq, test the Model Y. It saves you a trip. You don't have to go to Tesla. You don't have to go to two individual dealerships. Come on down to More Cadillac. They have both in stock, both of which you can test drive. Oh, and by the way, they sell their Lyriqs, their V products, and all Cadillac products at or below MSRP. But that's about it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy this little comparison between the Model Y and the Lyriq. If you did, let us know down below. But again, that's it for today's video. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.